Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about how far are we going to go with free. Okay, so this morning I'm walking through a park that's not too far from the office. It's like 5:30 in the morning, so I'm going to try to keep my voice down a little bit. But it's a really nice morning, being that it was the longest day like 2 days ago. Here in the UK, it's been like, we had like a heat wave earlier this week, and it's probably nothing compared to where a lot of you guys live, but here, I mean, it just was, everything was slowed down. Even my productivity went down. Even my computer started to get sluggish after a while in the afternoons. So, I mean, it was crazy. So anyway, I want to tell you guys about yesterday there was this big announcement from CoronaLabs, who do Corona SDK. I mentioned that we do Corona, a lot of our games and stuff are in Corona. So so like a week ago, we have like, yeah, I suppose most of our games are in Corona. So I should have learned Unity back when we did it, and I went with Corona just because I thought the Unity interface was a little bit, it was just really complicated. Even though I was a C# developer and a JavaScript developer, I kind of wish I'd gone the Unity route, but I went with Corona, and I'm actually a really big Corona fan, right? So I love working with it, but it's, you know, it's been, you know, their pricing model's been really strange. So anyway, so like a week ago, I had to like update the privacy policy in a bunch of our apps, and I thought, you know, I don't want to do that. You have to go in and compile, go save as, all this. It's like a really slow process because you couldn't script it out. So I thought, you know what, I'm finally going to buy Corona Enterprise. So there was different tiers. So there was the free tier, and there was Corona Enterprise, which cost like, I think it was $800 a year. And then with that, you could take it and compile it into, you could open it up in Xcode, you could add your own custom components, all that, you know, create your own plugins and all that kind of stuff. It's the kind of thing where I just never really paid for it before. I mean, I pay for other stuff for it, but I haven't gone with that, but because every time I started to use it, I just get confused by it. So like a week ago, like less than a week ago, it was like maybe Saturday morning, I finally said, I'm going to pay for Corona Enterprise, right? So I'm just gonna, you know, do that. I'm gonna write this cool script with Fastlane and everything like that. I'm just gonna get all these apps compiled and uploaded like in 10 minutes after like 4 hours of coding. Anyway, yesterday there's an email comes through from Corona saying that they've just made the enterprise version free. So that's, you know, big news for those of you guys who are Corona developers out there. This is kind of huge because it used to be, so when I started off with Corona, it costs, you know, to use it, it didn't cost anything, but if you wanted to release something to the App Store, or you actually wanted to compile something, put it on a device, it cost, I think it was $600 a year. Enterprise costs a lot more. Enterprise meaning you could do like your own plugins and stuff like that. And then eventually they made it free. They made Corona free, and then you had to pay for Enterprise. So a lot of people were really happy about that. But you know, I didn't really understand. You know, I was fine paying each year, whatever, because I got so much use out of it. So then Corona SDK was free, the Enterprise was paid. That was cool. I had Enterprise for a short while, you know, but I didn't really use it very much. So I went back to the free version, and everybody was happy with it. And then they started putting the splash screens in and charging you to remove the splash screens. Again, I was fine with that too. I mean, they have to make money somehow, right? And now they made so now they changed it again where they're making the Enterprise version free, which is cool. That's great, right? So now all you have to do is pay for to remove the splash screen. So for those of you who are looking into getting into game development, it's a really easy framework to learn, and you know, it's cheaper now than ever, right? And I don't really know why they've done that. I think they were recently acquired by Apple, so it might be because they're making enough money from Apple, they can lower that cost or whatever, or maybe it's just to compete. I don't really know the internal politics of it, so it's probably not good for me to speculate. You see, but here's the deal. When I started off in software development, like the tools were really expensive, right? So I was Visual Basic, so we're talking like 2000, in the year 2000. I wanted to get my own copy of Visual Studio. I had one at work, but I wanted my own. So, and I looked at it, it cost like $1,200 to get a license, which was ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous by today's standards, right? In fact, I was so surprised when I found out that you could code with Java for free. Or, you know, when I found out you could do like HTML for free, because I was like, when I learned about HTML on web pages, I thought, well, how much does that cost? And of course with mobile, you know, Android's free, you know, Android Studio's free, which is a really good tool. You know, it used to be Eclipse, and Eclipse, I always thought Eclipse was kind of clunky. On the Apple side, you've got Xcode, which is free, part of the platform. And I think Xcode is clunky, but that's just me because I'm just not used to it. I think Unity is clunky, but that's just because I haven't taken the time to learn my way around the environment and everything. Right, but we have all of these free tools, and it's amazing. But yeah, I start to worry about where do we go with free. But we have the same issue as app developers, don't we? So like, if you were going to release a paid app and not have a free equivalent or a freemium model, then probably no one would download it. I mean, I get asked this question all the time by people who are not in the app industry or not in the tech industry. They say, well, if you had millions of people download your app, if you just charged them 10 cents, you would have, like, you know, whatever. If you just charge them, you know, $1, you know, you'd be a millionaire, right? But the fact of the matter is that once you start charging for something, that changes the whole scale, the whole economy. As users, we all expect to have that free. We expect apps to be free. We expect software to be free. We expect this freemium model at least to have a free trial, which is cool. That's just the way things are going. I wonder where it's going to end. You know, we're going to keep going that way. For me, my experience has been when I've released like a paid app without having a free equivalent, it's just done nothing. Like I made maybe 1 or 2 downloads, but that's it, right? So what I find that works best is having the free version and the paid version, or, you know, either the free version with in-app purchases to, you know, either to remove ads, which is the worst. You know, nobody ever goes for remove ads. You have to have some other value add, or to add the features of the paid version, but also to add the paid version too, because there are people who don't want to mess around with in-app purchases. They don't want to do the paid version, or they don't want to do the free version, right? Or they think there's something dodgy about the free version. And me too, I start thinking, when I see something that's completely free and I can't see how it's monetized, I start to question it. Like, what are they doing with my data? All this kind of stuff. But maybe it's just because I'm older. I think maybe younger generations are going to expect things to be free. But anyway, it's really good news that, you know, for those of you who are doing game development, Chrome SDK and stuff like that, that it is free, and that's something that you can use. You know, and check that. Or it's always been free, but to use the enterprise version, which, to be honest, you're only going to use that if you're like really into the coding side of things. So if you're going to create your own, like you want to integrate with features or create your own plugins that are not inherently in the Corona SDK, you know, space or whatever. But for me, I think it's kind of cool, which means I could build that build automation tool that I was trying to do last week, and it's not going to cost me, you know, $800 a year. But, you know, I worry about the economics of it. I hope they're still around, you know, 5 years from now, you know, because we have to support all this kind of stuff. And that's, again, one of those things, when you choose a framework, you're always thinking about, are they going to be around for ages? Can they actually monetize this? It's great, it's free, but are they going to be able to support themselves, right? And, you know, and sometimes, this is the thing about apps, right? It's, you know, right now, most of my revenue comes from ads. So we have the free apps, they bring in a lot of AdMob ads, which is great, but then you think the more people releasing apps means there's more ad space out there and less, where, you know, supply starts to outweigh the demand. So then all of a sudden the impressions and everything get cheaper and cheaper to do, so that you have to have far more impressions, far more clicks to make the same amount of money. Anyway, those are just my thoughts for today. I'll talk to you guys on Monday.